Welcome to another AVID chat. David Harple and Jack Arnold. Jack, good to see you.
Good to see you, Dave.
If you're joining us today, we're going to talk about things that you should be on the lookout for, or things that you should consider when you're reviewing your health plan at your employer. This comes up right around this time of year. October seems to be a lot of renewal time for people. Some might be first quarter of next year or even the second, but we do get a lot of questions here towards the year end to review workplace plans. So we want to give you some tips and pointers that we think are pretty valuable as you start to look into these things. Why don't we just start with, I think you have something to say?
I was going to say all your benefits. So not just health insurance stuff. So all your benefits.
Yeah. You're right. If I said health, you're right. It's all of your, just workplace benefits, I guess.
Right.
Is the best way to say it. So we're going to go through these. Let's start off with one of the things that we probably get asked first and foremost, and that's about what should I do with my retirement plans if you're offered them? And that simply would be, are you offered a 401k or some sort of like deferred savings plan? So what are some things to think about, Jack, when you are offered that as an employee?
Well, are you even eligible to offer that at your job? I think is a big one. Do they have a 401k, 403b, whatever it may be, that they offer you? And then are they matching something? Are they giving you profit sharing contributions at the end of the year? Kind of what are the requirements to be eligible for those things? I think would be good to know. Having a 401k is great. If they're not matching anything, I think it does change a little bit of the decision-making process. If they are matching something, it's tough to say that there's an argument against at least getting what they match. I mean, if they're giving you, they're matching 3% or whatever it is, it's hard to say, don't take that because you're kind of, doubling your money. But if they're not matching, I just think the calculus kind of changes because then it falls a little bit different in terms of the order of importance, depending on other things that are going on in your life. If you're paying down debt or who knows, it could be any number of things. So it is, right. You don't want to be just automatic. I have a 401k, I have to contribute. It depends on your personal situation, unless they're matching what you'd want to know.
Yeah, because really the match is essentially free money. I mean, normally you have to put something in yourself to get the match, but you double your contribution in some scenarios if the math works out. So great point. Yep. Look to see what they offer and take advantage of the match. Health plans. I think this is one that most of us, even myself, when we go to review our family plans through Melissa's work, they can be kind of overwhelming and just not fun to do. So where do you start? What are some key takeaways with health insurance? Whoops.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, health insurance is always kind of a pain because it's so complicated as to a lot of times what it pays, what it doesn't pay, what scenario. Obviously, there's a million scenarios. Do they offer more than one plan? Depending on your job, they may not offer more than one. I think in a general sense, you're going to have a higher deductible versus a lower deductible type of plan. If you have a doctor that you go to on a regular basis, probably want to check to make sure that they're in the network of whatever plan you're choosing. I think that's always a good idea to do. But in terms of picking high deductible versus low deductible, one is, we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but, if you're using let's say for instance, next year, you've got some elective surgery that you're going to get, or, you've kind of been putting off that knee surgery that you need to be getting or whatever it may be. If you're going to put that off, maybe it's a good time to get a lower deductible versus a higher deductible because you're going to use it more next year. You can't always plan your medical expenditures, but when you can, it'd be a good idea to try to take advantage of when you have a lower deductible. Outside of that, I would say, how much do you spend at the doctor? Do you have little kids in there all the time? Do you have your own maybe chronic illnesses, those kinds of things? Are you healthy and you never go to the doctor? These are all things to consider. If you have a high deductible plan, do you want to take advantage of an HSA? Do they offer an HSA? Do they match it? That's always helpful. Sometimes they'll just make contributions to your HSA if you choose that type of plan. So that would be helpful to know.
Well, and I think just the basics of a high deductible versus low deductible is that's how much you have to pay before the benefits start to kick in and outweigh the cost, because the low deductible plan, your monthly premium that you pay or is taken out of your paycheck is a higher amount monthly or per paycheck than the high deductible plan. So you do want to weigh that benefit of the size of the deductible, because like you said, if there's some expense that's knee surgery is a great one. It's pretty expensive and pretty costly. So you don't want to have a high deductible, meaning you're going to be responsible for a lot more out of pocket in addition to the monthly payment, when you can have lower deductible and meet it quickly and move on. So it's probably less out of pocket. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit.
Right.
HSA is a great option if you do have that. And that's just an additional way to put money into a savings account that you can use for medical. There's a list of things. We could probably put this into the link of things that qualify. The nice thing about an HSA is you don't lose it. So there's a different account that is, if you don't use it, you don't lose it. We'll probably cover it in another video. But the HSA would give you that benefit that you can actually build additional money towards future health expenses.
Right. It's the only kind of vehicle that's really, for the most part, what we call like triple tax free. It's tax deductible on the way in. It can grow tax deferred. I mean, if you have enough money in there, you can invest the money that's in there. And then when you take it out, as long as you use it for qualified medical expenses, it's tax free. It's a pretty good deal. But you do have to use it in conjunction with the high deductible health plan. So it kind of goes hand in hand. But like I said, a lot of times there will be employers that they would prefer you use a high deductible health plan because it can keep their costs down, and they like to have you kind of invested in your own health in some sense. So sometimes they'll say you can get a high deductible plan, and then we'll match you dollar for dollar up to a certain amount into your HSA. So you put 500, we'll put 500 or something. I know my wife's HSA, they just put $1,200 in there. As long as you choose that as an option, they give you $1,200 in your HSA.
That's great.
Which is a pretty cool benefit. Yeah, it's a great benefit. So, there's certain things that can come with using an HSA that's pretty beneficial. Again, it depends on your own personal health situation. So if you can't take advantage of it, I would normally say go ahead and do that. Again, somewhat depending on your personal health situation, but as far as like the straight up investment wise, as far as tax wise, that triple tax free money goes in, tax deferred, and money tax free coming out, you can't really beat it. It's pretty good.
So super important to know if you're offered that and if you could utilize it. Another one with a lot of our younger clients that are still working, family or not, replacement of income. So a lot of times employers will offer both life insurance and disability. Let's talk a little bit about both of those. Why don't we start with life insurance? It seems to be the most widely known.
Yeah. Life insurance is I guess the kind of brief, do you need it? Do you not need it? If somebody's reliant upon you being alive, meaning you have kids, you have a spouse, generally you're going to want to have some kind of life insurance. The good thing about your employer offering it is a lot of times they'll offer some portion of your salary, 1 times your salary or $50,000 or something that's somewhat on the house. A lot of times they'll just do it as part of a big group. You don't have to pay anything. A lot of times they'll offer additional, so like supplemental above and beyond that you can purchase in addition. That can be good or bad depending on your own situation. If you're kind of generally healthy for your age group, kind of average health, I guess you would say, it might be less expensive to go out on your own and get your own life insurance, like term insurance.
Right.
Because it's portable, you can kind of take it with you. It tends to be cheaper. You can get ones that the premium is kind of flat. It doesn't go up over time. Versus when you have it at work, you're lumped into a group. The insurance company is going to say, well, we're not doing medical exams on all these people usually, so we'll just charge a higher premium for the group. You kind of get lumped in with anybody. So it tends to be a little bit more expensive for an average person that's of kind of average health. And it's typically not very portable. If you leave the job, you've kind of lost it. You have to hope that the next job has it. Yeah. So It's nice though. If you can't get life insurance somewhere else, like maybe you're not in the best health or you don't want to do a medical exam, let's say, you can get additional supplemental insurance on top of that. It's either way, it's not extremely expensive and you can get a lot of insurance. It's pretty easy. You just kind of check a box on your benefits. Usually, if you're getting something like $1 million, sometimes they'll want you to do some kind of health exam, but most of the time it's pretty easy when you're doing it as part of a group. So,
yep.
Oh, and then
good to know.
Yeah.
Disability.
And then like disability insurance. Yeah. Disability insurance is great. I think the likelihood of using disability insurance is far more likely than using your life insurance, let's say. But it can be kind of expensive to get on your own. If it's part of a group, usually it's far less expensive. I would definitely take advantage of that if you can. It tends to be, like I said, on the cheaper side. You'd want to know how much they're paying, but a lot of times they'll give you 50%, 60% of your pay, and it's maybe a few dollars a month or per paycheck. Right. It's usually not too expensive. Definitely something to look into. If they're offering it to you, chances are you're going to want to take advantage of that. I can't imagine a situation when you wouldn't want to take advantage unless it's some astronomically priced disability insurance, which I doubt it would be. You probably want to take advantage of the short-term and long-term disability if they offer it. That would be definitely something to use.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. There might be one or both, short-term and long-term. And that really is just at what point does the benefit kick in? There's a waiting period with those long-term, so you have to be disabled for a certain period of time before they actually pay that replacement of salary, which normally is a percentage base, 40, 50, 60% of your salary type of thing. But they might also offer short-term, which kind of covers that elimination period. So definitely worth looking into, because for our experience of reviewing a lot of these, we have definitely seen them for pretty inexpensive amounts on a monthly basis.
Yeah. The private stuff that you get on your own can be fairly expensive. Obviously, it's a lot more customizable to your situation. But the stuff you can get from work is usually pretty inexpensive as part of a group. So if they're offering it, most time I would go ahead and just take advantage of that.
Yeah. So let's say we've reviewed our workplace plans. We've kind of hit these high level ones, 401ks, health plans, life insurance, disability. Is there anything else out there that we should maybe look into or explore that might be offered by our employer?
Yeah, sometimes they'll offer, there's always kind of these one-off things that they'll offer. So tuition reimbursement is always a good one. Are you going back to school? Can you go back to school? Kind of if something you've been considering, do they offer some kind of tuition reimbursement? Something you might want to try to take advantage of. Obviously, depending on your field of work, some things are a little bit more straightforward. Extra degree equals extra pay. I would say that most healthcare careers are typically, you get a higher degree, you get paid more. There's certain things that are not like that. Business is kind of like that. It's not like a one-to-one relationship. But if they're doing tuition reimbursement, it's something you'd want to look into and take advantage of. If they're, depending on where you are in the company, how much you're getting paid, sometimes they'll offer executives, higher compensated individuals, offer deferred comp plans, right? Maybe stock option plans and employee stock purchase plans. So those are kind of things that would be on top of that. That would be depending on the company, and it's a little bit more tailored to them. So it's not as like broad bases like disability insurance, which is kind of general. Employee stock purchase plan can be any number of things. Sometimes they'll let you buy it at a discount or they'll match it. Right. That kind of really depends on the company. Yep.
Yeah. All good things to be aware of and look into. I would say as kind of a blanket thought here is you're going to be better equipped to know how to pick and choose these and make them work together if you're also in tune with your current cash flow and finances. We harp on this all the time. But knowing what you're spending now or what you have the ability to spend when it comes to company benefits is going to be enormous. Then you can really weigh something like insurance as well. It doesn't make sense to get more insurance here when I really need to be using that extra cash flow for whatever it might be, childcare or paying down debt or something of that nature that you would rank as an individual a higher priority. And I think that's really important to keep in mind.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And you want to make it like a more, there's something you want to make sure you make more of a conscious decision. This is October-ish is kind of when you're getting into benefit season. Sometimes it's March, like you said, but a lot of times it's towards the end of the year. You're kind of picking your benefits for next year. If you've picked them before, one, that they usually do a very bad job of helping you. Usually they just say, have at it, like figure it out. Like they'll give you descriptions, but they're not going to tell you this is what you should do for the most part. So you're kind of on your own. So you want to give yourself some time to think about this. So you're not waiting till it's due in 2 days and you're scrambling just to click buttons. And also, once you do it, the next year comes around. A lot of times if you don't go and pick, it just rolls right into the choices that you made the previous year, which, maybe that's good because they just go ahead and pick something for you. But again, you want to make a conscious decision. And, once it's in effect, a lot of this stuff is kind of pre-tax or before you ever get your paycheck. So a lot of times it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Once it starts coming out, you don't even realize that you've been paying however much for a benefit that you didn't really need, or that you didn't change your health insurance or whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. So you want to give yourself some time to figure this stuff out. At least think it through so that you're not like, oh, I got to do my benefits, and then you're jumping on there real quick to just bang something out.
Right. No doubt about it. And the flip side can happen. Personally, we did not take family dental for various reasons, and just not thinking the kids were really at that age where it was needed. And lo and behold, who knew that cavities are pretty common in kids? And nowadays, if you go to a pediatric dentist, it's pretty alarming what it could cost. So it's very important to think about your lifestyle and what's ahead of you and what you might need, as opposed to just, you said, I just do what I did last year. No big deal.
Yeah, right. And I mean, honestly, some of the stuff you can't really predict either. Like you kind of have to do the best you can, especially when it comes to your health insurance. You kind of just do the best you can possibly do. If you think, I don't go much, high deductible is usually good for me, I'll put some on my HSA, and then something happens. I mean, it's easy to kind of kick yourself saying, I should have done, coulda, shoulda, woulda. You just got to do the best that you can do, but at least give yourself some time to think the stuff through. At least know what you're getting yourself into.
Yep, no doubt. Don't wait till the last minute. Well, I think that's good. That covers the high level things as we've talked about earlier. If you have specific questions, reach out to us. Zap us a comment. Share this video if you thought it was helpful. Subscribe to our channel. We do these to hopefully benefit y'all, and that's why we're here. So, chat. It was a good one again, Jack.
All right. See you, Dave.
See you.